Hey folks, I'm attorney Roger P. Foley, and tonight, well, I've just had a long day. I think I've been working for, I don't know how many hours, but it's been a long day. And I'm driving home, and I'm just thinking about how much drugs and alcohol ruin lives. Right? I have clients who are addicted to various drugs, various different substances, whether it be alcohol, drugs, crack, heroin, narcotics of some type, pills, you name it. And as a defense attorney, I see how it changes your life. Now, I mean, that's sort of Captain Obvious, right? Like, drugs and alcohol screw up everything. I think it even lends itself to mental illness, and then you have cases where people have mental illness, depression, anxiety, PTSD, personality disorder, you name it. South Florida's filled with it, right? And then you have enablers, right? You have parents, you have husbands, wives, brothers, sisters, who just don't get it. They enable those people. They go, oh, you know, and the person's like, oh, I just need a little bit of money because I want to do something, and they go buy drugs with it. Or they say that they didn't commit a crime, and they did commit the crime. And it's sort of Captain Obvious to everybody except those in the family and the friends around them who enable. Enable's a word that I feel like I see a lot. I give an example, right? I had a client that, I mean, I have so many clients. I could probably say I have 100 clients like this. I have a client, or had a client, that is addicted to crack cocaine. But what does my client do when he or she is on crack cocaine? They steal stuff. They break in to cars. They break into homes. They rob people. They get weapons and guns, and they put masks on, and they rob liquor stores and banks. I had a woman tell me today, right? Just so you can have the concept of it. Well, it wasn't a real gun. It was a plastic gun. And I want to pull my hair out as I'm talking to this person on the phone going, do you think that meant that the person was any less scared, right? Do you think that, you know, the person, when your family member approached the victim with a gun, or what looked like a gun, might have been plastic, with a mask, a hoodie, gloves on, and said, I'm going to kill you for your money, do you think that they really was going, yeah, it might be a plastic gun. It might be a plastic gun. No, come on. Like, well, I don't understand. Like, why do they have to, I don't understand. Like, I mean, it turned out to be a plastic gun. Like, holy shit. It's inconceivable that it's inconceivable that people pull guns and dress up and put masks on and shoot people and stab people and harm other people. But what's even more incredible is the people around him who think it's no big deal. And what did I say? You know, I basically said to that person, I'm not your guy. I'm not your guy. I can't imagine in life doing something, making a mistake of some type, especially as grand as that, right? And not being remorseful, and those being around me not being remorseful, right? If I don't know, if I decided to rob a bank tomorrow, you know, I can't imagine my wife going, you know, I mean, it just, you know, Roger had enough money in the bank. Like, I mean, he really didn't have to rob. I mean, he didn't have to rob the bank. Like, you know, or my father saying, hey, you know what? I mean, you know, he was just stressed at work. So, you know, he decided to, I don't know, like smoke some crystal meth and, you know, smoke a little crack and I don't know, he just, it's not really his fault. He's had a tough week at work. Like, it's flipping insane, folks. And I'm glad this is darkness as I'm driving and you can't even see my face, because I know you're not used to this kind of video. But man, like, the enabling that goes on, everyone's got an excuse. If I make a mistake, I apologize and I own that mistake. I go, I'm so sorry. Like, at that moment, I guess I just wasn't thinking, or I did this. I don't excuse it. I was wrong. I am sorry. And I deal with it. And I think that goes a far way with prosecutors and judges. And I'm not telling you when you get arrested for something to start apologizing and, doing, that's not the time. You just say, lawyer, please. But it's just inconceivable for me. I had a guy, I'm going to go back a while, right? I had a guy that he was on probation for felony DUI, right? And he got charged with another felony DUI while he was still on probation. He was in a couple different counties. And it was unbelievable, his family, like, dealing with him. I mean, it was unbelievable. They were like, I don't understand. Like, why does he have to be in custody? Oh, like, he misses his children. And my response was, he wasn't thinking about his children when he was under the influence of drugs and alcohol for the DUI, for the first one, the second one, the third one, or the fourth one, right? So why are you telling me this? Because if I say it to a judge or a prosecutor, they're going to look at me like I'm stupid. They're going to go, Mr. Foley, all due respect to you, counselor, but your client wasn't thinking about it on DUI 1, DUI 2, DUI 3, or DUI 4, right? Wasn't thinking about it when their kid was in the back seat of a car, right, while they were driving drunk. Come on, guys. Like, I have people that are, like, robbing stores, breaking into cars, and they call me, and I got to tell you, like, the clients, at least I go, okay, like, you messed up, you made a mistake, you're on drugs. I get it. Like, you made a mistake, and now we got to mitigate the circumstance. But the people around them, he's such a good boy. Oh, she's such a sweetheart. I'm like, hey, ma'am, you realize that your daughter stabbed a guy 3 times, right? And because he didn't give her, the phone, and she thought he was cheating on her. Like, are you kidding me? Like, such a nice girl? Like, I'm just trying to think of all the cases, right? Like, oh, I didn't know that the drugs were being mailed to me, even though my friend, sends it to me monthly, and the pounds of weed were, I didn't know. You didn't call the police when you opened the box, did you? And you found 20 pounds of weed, a kilo of coke, et cetera, right? It's not fair. It's not fair. And then the police do a search of the home and they find a whole bunch more of the exact same drugs. Oh, but you didn't know. Oh, I didn't know. It's not right. It's not fair. The system's not fair. You gotta be kidding. Like, I'm all for advocating for clients, all about advocating. I will look at every technical argument that can be made. I recently had a prosecutor said, Mr. Foley, the prosecutor called me Roger, but she's like, are you kidding me? She goes, you litigated this case more than like any case I've ever had litigated, because I look for the technical arguments. But the shit that bothers me the most is that people, look, I will always find a technical argument. I will always argue for the best interest of my client to get the best result possible. No one needs to pat me on the back. Like, if you pay me, you retain me, you pray for me, I'm good, right? But it's the excuse makers. Oh, well, I'm just, my wife stressed me out so much, and like, she just got me so mad that I punched her in the face. No, dude. Like, she didn't make you punch her in the face. She didn't make you break her ribs. No, stop. Like, no. whatever your trigger is, right? If you got psychological issues, you got drug issues, you got alcohol issues, what is the purpose of counseling? What is the purpose of counseling if you're not listening to it? If you're not making an effort? I'm just so stressed at like my job at Starbucks. I'm like, are you kidding me? You know what stress is, folks? You know what stress is? Stress is when people come to you and they cry and they for some reason they think that because you're a lawyer, you're godlike. No, none of us attorneys are gods. None of us. We are regular people who make a living helping other people, helping people clean up their mess. Some are better than others, right? But we still have regular problems. We still have stresses. We still have family members that have cancer or people who die in our lives, right? We still get sad, right? But for some reason, family thinks that, we have every answer. We don't have every answer. There's a process, there's a procedure, there's rules of court, rules of evidence, rules of procedure, and they have to be followed. And when a client acts as a getaway driver for some guys that are, breaking into businesses and pulling out hammers and swinging them at people and breaking, the things at Macy's and grabbing all the jewelry, guess what? That's a hard argument to advocate. Billy grew up in poverty and my husband and I were divorced and he didn't have the best childhood and someone picked on him in elementary school and I go, hey, Mrs. Billy's mom, listen, I was poor, we were on welfare, right? My mom was terrible, my dad was gone, we were poor, I got clothes from the Salvation Army, people bullied me in junior high school, I got beat up, I've been attacked by gangs, but I didn't turn to drugs. I busted my ass. I got involved in sports. And even though I wasn't the brightest student, I forced myself to get the grades so that later in life I could be self-sufficient, not rely on the government or the system, and do something with my life. And part of doing something with my life is making a living so I can take care of my family. And also, it's helping other people. It's helping other people who are struggling with similar issues, right? Who didn't have the best childhood. But damn it, folks, do not use your parents being divorced or your stress or your anxiety or people bullied you or you don't have the best job or your boss was mean to you. Come on, man. When do the excuses in this country, and I only know this country, maybe they have the excuses in all the other continents as well, but at least in the United States, when are the excuses going to stop? When are you going to go, you know what, I effed up, I'm wrong, I take responsibility for what I've done. You know how many times that's happened in my 18 years? One time. You know what it was? It was an armed drug trafficker who had a machine gun, drugs, and he came into my office and said, Mr. Foley, everything that's in that police report is the truth. I messed up, I was wrong, and I need you to do whatever you can so that the system doesn't just crush me. And I helped that person. That person ended up, in that crazy charge, they ended up doing just under 2 years of prison time and moved on with their life. And every so often that person contacts me. But you know how many clients I've had in 18 years? Like 1,000, I've been so many I can't even count. And out of all those, one person has ever said, I did everything in the police report, I was totally wrong, I don't even want to make excuses, but I got with the wrong people and I was selling drugs and I had guns and I did everything I could to, but I can't even tell you like how fond, I wish I could throw that person's name into the video. You know, someone who was committing crimes that society would say is a criminal, but he owned up to it, and just said, geez, I just know how the system is. You know, I've never had any other prior criminal history, and he owned up to it. Be more like that guy, world. Be more like that guy. Making excuses for your failure is making excuses. Blah, 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 blah. If I lose a case, I don't say, oh, the facts were against me. Oh, my client was bad. Oh, the judge was so mean. Oh, the prosecutor was just so, they cheated. I don't say any of that. I go, I lost. I should have been better. I need to be better. I'm going to work to be better. I'm going to be better. I will be better a minute from now. I'll be better 10 minutes from now. Tomorrow I'll be better. Next week I'll even be better. And next year you better watch out because I'm coming. I don't make excuses for my fact patterns. I don't make excuses for the opposition. I don't make excuses for judges. And listen, I'm a sinful guy. Like, I'm a guy who makes mistakes. I'm a guy that's yelling into a phone as he's driving home for the night. But damn it, if you don't know what passion is, this is what passion is. You gotta want it like you want air, right? We need air, right? We need air. You gotta need it. You gotta need to change. You gotta need to get off the drugs. You gotta need to be a better person. You gotta need to not hit your wife. You gotta need to not stab your husband. You gotta need to not rob people, right? You don't need to do those things. You need to be a better person, a better human. And you need, most of all, for those that mess up, because everybody messes up. Everyone's a sinner, right? You need to take responsibility. Even if it's to your lawyer behind closed doors and no one ever hears it besides your lawyer and God, you need to do it. I'm attorney Roger P. Foley. You need to watch the video.